So we're talking being a dominant man today. I started writing a blog a number of years ago, basically focusing on the dominant, submissive lifestyle that my girl and I had chose to lead. I had to come up with a name for the blog. My friends call me Tex. The name of the blog is Texas Dom. And from then on, at these speaking events, I am now Texas Dom. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm Tex. But that's okay. There is a growing, deep-seated, gnawing feeling in your gut over those last couple of years that stuff is not right. Things around us are not what they should be. It's like we're living in an illusion. We're living in a matrix. Something's weird. We know it. We feel it deep down inside. We all feel it. I guarantee you, you're in this room, you know what I'm talking about. It's there, it's subtle, it's in the back sometimes, but it's there. And it's eating at us a little bit. So I want to delve into a couple of things before I'm going to be off over a little bit on the map here and a little bit on the map over here. But I think for us to know where we're going, we have to know where we've been. And that has always been a key motto in my life and anything I've done in work or given a talk or that type of thing. So this is one of my favorite old quotes. This is the original acta non verba. That's the way I read it. Written by Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius around AD 170. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. He's not telling everybody to be a good man. I don't think so. I think he's saying, quit talking about all this crap and go out and do something. Take action. Do something. Don't worry about am I good? You're a man, you're good. If you're leading your life, you're good. Take that to the bank. Look at these guys. World War II, 1944, Italy. Actually fighting fascists. Actually fighting Nazis. Actually trying to kill Hitler. The greatest generation, they say, 80 years ago. Every 80 years, the world goes through a major conniption fit. We are right now in the middle of the next conniption fit, the next great war. It is a digital war. It's a digital battlefield right now. So these guys come home, having secured what is now a world superpower in the United States. They come home, they start jobs, they start having kids, they build businesses, they make this country the greatest country in the absolute free world. At the same time, their kids are doing this. This is the 60s. They weren't paying attention to their kids. The kids were out of control at this point. These are our baby boomer friends, our parents potentially, our grandparents. I'm not sure how old you are. I feel like I got lucky. Strauss and Howe defined the end of the baby boom era at 1960, and I'm 61, so I'm actually the first year Gen Xer, because I cannot identify with these idiots. But I spent my young childhood, 69 or so, whenever Woodstock was. I was like 8 years old, right? And all I saw is when you're 8 years old and you're starting to be aware of women or girls are cute. This is something I'm interested more in these girls. I didn't used to be, but I am now. And I see this on TV. This is where we came from. We went from these strong alpha SOBs fighting Nazis to all of a sudden these soft guys they're still bad boys in that group, but they're soft guys. And they're saying, hey, if I get in touch with my feelings and I play guitar and I smoke dope with the girls, and yeah, hey man, I ain't gonna lie, sex on weed is great. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that became their life. And so as a young, impressionable kid, I'm saying, well, if you want to get laid, play guitar, right? Start hanging out, put flowers in your hair, start being a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more feeling. And this is how it started. This is where it started. This is where the pussification of America began. I watched my dad. My dad was a hard as nails guy. My dad actually was a sheriff's deputy for a while. I watched him soften because it was relentless. It was overpowering. It was coming through the 70s. So that's the kids. This is the G.I. Joe's granddaughter. That's what the third generation now from the greatest generation is out doing. Protesting, taking off their bras, being idiots, and doing all this stuff. And then they go to the next step. These are the great-grandchildren. These are Antifa. These are Black Lives Matter. These are all the protests we had over the last year and a half, 2 years, right? They would look back at their great-granddad who actually fought Hitler, and they would call him a Nazi today. What is wrong with this world? Where have we gone wrong? I mean, it is upside freaking down right now. It's a clown universe we live in. It is this history that we're having to deal with and where we find ourselves today as men. Now we're going to go from that Marcus Aurelius quote to a much more favorite quote by a friend of mine, Jack Donovan. He says, "A man who is more concerned with being a good man than being good at being a man makes for a very well-behaved slave." That's where we are right now. I challenge you. You're here because you do not want to be a well-behaved slave. You are here because today we're going to become more of a dominant man. We're going to take back our birthright. We're going to take back what makes us a man. And we're not going to give it away anymore. We're not going to let the media define it. We're not going to let people tell us who we're supposed to be. The dominant man. You know, we could talk about valor, integrity, strength, trustworthiness, and all these other old school things. But let's look at this one, personal sovereignty. What is a sovereign? He's a king, right? He has people that serve underneath him. Personal sovereignty to me means I am my own king. I am my own man. You've heard Phil refer to this earlier. You've heard Zach and John, all four of us now are talking the same thing. I am an island in some regards because I am my own sovereign. I am not ruled by the powers that be that are out there anymore. I was for a while, as so were you. You don't realize it until you break free. We talk about taking the red pill. There ain't no going back. Whether it's red pill for politics or red pill for sexual dynamics or whatever. Everybody has taken that term and used it for their own group. That's fine. Doesn't bother me at all. No mask. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the mask that you show the world. The dominant male in this world does not worry about what other people think. He doesn't show the world one thing and then does the other thing in private. It's not the way this is supposed to work. When you get comfortable in your own skin, you get comfortable in the way you're dressing, you get comfortable in the way you look, you're comfortable in the way things that you believe and stand for, all of a sudden the face that you show the world is who the heck you are. Character is what you do when no one's looking, right? And that's where this comes into play. Third one, brotherhood. We talked about that this morning. Having other men who have your back. Surrounding yourself by some kick-ass mofos that are going to go into battle with you. Knowing where you lack strength and reaching out. I reached out to Phil for fitness back at the end of 2019, and I'm bragging on him, not me. 22 pounds of muscle gain, 16 pounds of fat loss since then, for me, right? Because I reached out to him. No. I should have never been fat to begin with. I'm still fat, I still got ways to go. But I'm saying I reached out to an expert to help me do that. I reached out, brotherhood to me, a lot of that is fraternity of excellence, right? There's a bunch of guys at FOE that are in this room right now. People in my hometown, people where I live, I have friends, I have acquaintances, but I don't have guys that I can count on. I don't have guys that I can talk about the important stuff. So for me, the fraternity of excellence is that behind a paywall network, private network for men. I belong to another one called Liminal Order that Jack Murphy started because I believe having access to more private men's networks is going to be key for me to maintain my personal sovereignty going forward. I have access to lawyers, to heart surgeons, to fitness experts, to motivational speakers and other guys that can correct me when I'm going wrong. And I still go wrong. I still take the wrong step every now and then. But like John talked about, the Google Maps says, whoa, back up, partner. You're going the wrong way. Or you could continue down this road. Self-mastery. How can you be the master of your house, your wife, your kids, if you cannot master yourself? And again, I'm not going to just chastise you for being overweight or drug addict or an alcoholic or whatever. Fix your shit. fix it, okay? You can't expect other people to look up to you and to respect your words if your words are coming out of the mouth of someone who's, again, wearing a mask that doesn't fit with his actions. The words have to agree. And then lastly, discernment and sense-making kind of go together. Discernment is the ability to look at a situation from 33,000 feet and figure out what's going on, follow the money, follow the politics, try to figure out who's benefiting from what and who's screwing who, because that's happening all around us. You have to be able to have discernment. You have to be able to filter your news sources. You have to be able to turn off the boob tube. You have to be able to, when you've got a Twitter account set up and you follow 2,000 people, you're going to get a bunch of crap. You got to have a focused list of 20 to 30 key people or key accounts that you follow that you can click on quickly, spend 5 minutes going through that stuff in a day, and then trash it and get rid of it and go on and move to something else. And in the world of sense making, we have this thing that has been around for a while. It's a military term, OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. And so any kind of situation that you have that comes your way, the key to this sense making is to have multiple OODA loops. Analyze the situation, take an action quickly, and go, right? The Colin Powell rule comes into play. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he was saying things like he couldn't make a good military intelligence decision based on 20% data. And he also, if he waited until he had 80% confidential data, it was too late, the target had moved. He had to find that sweet spot in the middle. He had to observe, orient to the situation, decide, and take action. And then observe again, and orient again, and decide again, and take action again. This is key going forward. Frame is everything. Everything I just got through talking about, summed up. Some guys think of it as picture frames. I think of it as the frame of the house. I'm going back to my carpenter friend here. I draw this circle around me. I build this frame over my head that protects me and my family. I choose who I allow into my frame at all times. And that's the key to being a sovereign individual, to being a free man and not a well-behaved slave. This is key to what you're doing going forward. Now, any talk that I give would be somewhat lacking if I didn't talk a little bit about the dom sub life and how that fits into being a dominant man. My wife and I were on a rough road a number of years back. We've been married 32 years, I think, and together like 35. But there were some years 22, 23, whatever, 24, that were pretty rough. And had I been a stronger man, it probably wouldn't have been that rough. And if I had been even more stronger, I probably wouldn't still be married. But we loved each other, and we're still there. And there's a lot of guys in this room that have been divorce raped, and I have not been through that. I can empathize, but I have not done that. I've not gone through that. I've not been denied access to my kids. I've not been taken to the cleaners in the legal system. I empathize. I've not been there. I guess I married a unicorn. Actually, she was divorced once before. I broke every red pill rule in the book. She had a 3-year-old daughter when I met her, right? But she had work ethic. She was working 2 jobs to support herself. No child support, none of that crap, right? So I got lucky on this one because in our search to try to figure out why we were unhappy, she discovered this whole dom sub thing. It was right about the time of the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing, right? It's like the #1 selling paperback book of all time. Women are rubbing one off all the time, reading that book for years and years and years, right? So it is what it is, right? And so there was one point in our marriage, things were so bad, I'm like, man, this book, millions of women are reading this book. I got to read this book. So I got it on my iPad so nobody knew what I was reading. And I'm reading this book just to see what it is because I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to be a single man again. And apparently all these women are into this thing. I want to know what it's all about. It's BDSM stuff. The dom sub are 2 letters in BDSM. My wife and I are not super kinky BDSM people. But we follow the protocol, total power exchange. She was sick and tired of making decisions all the time. She makes them at work. She would come home and I would just say, hey, you want to go here or you want to go over there for dinner? I wouldn't make the decision. I was a king that was trying to abdicate his throne all the time. I have to own that now. She said, hey, I would like to try this lifestyle. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. That sounds good. I get sex whenever I want. This is cool. This is going to be the life changing because that's what I thought it was all about was sex. I didn't realize how hard the work was. I didn't realize how much work it was going to be on my part. It's hard work. But what it does is it lets us tap into the masculine and the feminine energies that exist in this world since Adam and Eve. I'm telling you, it's like two poles of a magnet. You take two magnets that are both positive and you push them together and they try to reject themselves, but a positive to a negative attract, right? And so you have to have strong masculine energy in the home if you would like to see strong feminine energy from your girl, your LTR, your wife, whatever you want to call her. You have to set the stage for that. It's up to you. You've got to be masculine, right? You don't have to be tying her up and putting blindfolds on her, although that's fun as hell, right? If you want to keep, if you want to spice up your sex life, tap into some of that. Put that in your dating profile, Dom, and watch it light up. But you better know what you're doing. You better know what you're doing. I talked to a young man one time that did that, and the girl got in the bedroom with him and was expecting certain things. He had no idea what he was doing. It was a rough night for him, right? So be careful what you wish for there. But these polar opposites attract, this sexual tension, this being equal, it doesn't work. They've been shoving that crap down our throats since the 70s. We're all equal. Yeah, we're all supposed to make the same amount of money. We're all supposed to share chores at house. We're supposed to, no, I cut the grass and take out the trash. She fixes the house and makes it pretty, right? We have our jobs. We have things that we do, things that I like to do. I assign tasks to her that are within her skill sets, that are good for her. She may do things better than me. She can interior decorate better than me, I can tell you that, right? So I don't want to be the one doing that. Push that off on her. But when we, there are pillars to this whole thing. We talk about trust, love, respect, honesty, communication. These things don't have anything just to do with a dom sub life. It has everything to do with a great relationship. Great relationships, even with work, with your friends. Honesty, communicating what you're thinking. Because people go along in this world thinking that I can read their mind. And they get butthurt because I don't act a certain way because, by gosh, if I loved them, I would know what they were thinking. How twisted and sick is that? We're not mind readers. You got to communicate, right? Trust. My wife and I have 100% trust back and forth. I mean, she picks up my cell phone and needs to use it because it's sitting there all the time, right? And hers might be dead as always. And she'll pick it up and I don't freak out. 10 years ago, I freaked out because I was flirting probably with somebody on Facebook or something like that. Things that I shouldn't have been doing. I was miserable and I wasn't being much of a man, right? Didn't cross the line, didn't cheat, didn't any of that kind of stuff, but it was heading in that direction. I didn't want her to pick up my phone. I would flip out if she did. So if you have a long-term relationship, you have a girl in your life, you have a loved one that you would flip out if they had your phone, I need you to think strong and hard about what this relationship is you're in and why you're in it. Because at the end of the day, people just don't want to hook up. Hooking up gets boring. I mean, back in my young man days, yeah, we had plenty of that. In the early 80s, there was hookups going on left and right. We didn't have Tinder. We just went to bars, right? Went to concerts, met people face to face. No catfishing photos at that point, right? You saw what you saw. I don't know how y'all do it, swiping left and right and all that stuff and the catfishes and all that stuff. I don't know how you do it. But for us, and some of you older guys that are in the room that are my age, AIDS hit in the early to mid 80s. And all of a sudden, this hookup culture that I found myself in looked a hell of a lot less appealing. What, you mean I could screw some girl and die? I was worried about herpes. Now I got to worry about death. And all of a sudden, a lot of people started getting monogamous and started getting married and started having kids in the mid 80s. And I'm telling you, it was AIDS driven. Absolutely. So again, I have written tons on this, texasdom.com. I've written tons on the Dom sub life. This next one though is really key to me. There was a study done by the Kinsey Institute, and I won't gloss through it, but thousands of people online. It's in the last couple of years. And there's a guy, Justin Lay Miller, has a book called Tell Me What You Want. He's got the whole study in there. But what they found is people were coming back and reporting what their top fantasies were. 75% of the women, their top fantasy in this whole study was bondage. Think about that for a second, being tied up, putting blindfolds on, doing all that stuff, all that titillating stuff that they've seen in the movies and all that. 75% of women are into this. And the study group, I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's who you're dating. It's the 20s to the 60s and people in between. So if you have some of those deep-seated fantasies, communicate them a little bit. Who knows, she might as well. Y'all might really spice things up in the bedroom. But this is the antithesis of the hookup culture. Because one of the things that came out in that study is the majority of men and the majority of women say, we all want sexual experiences that make us feel something. You can go get a hooker on the strip and bang her, give her however much it is these days, and you're done. And what did it mean? You got to release. That's all. You got to release. But when you're in a relationship with someone and there's trust and there's love and there's communication and you talk about stuff and you make things work together and you lead and she follows and she's happy to follow, all of a sudden that time you've got in the bedroom becomes a whole lot better than just a release. I mean, it can go on for a couple of hours if you play your cards right, if you plan what you're going to do. There's so much written on this. There's so much out there. But what I'm encouraging you is, yeah, maybe you've gone through a bad divorce, but I think human beings in general like to hook up long term. I think we feel better that way. I'm not real big on making sure my text message just didn't come through. I'm not real big on the idea of dating somebody seriously younger than me. Like if my wife was to pass away or something, I'm about to be 60. And what was my buddy saying the other day? You take half your age and add 7. And so my target audience should be 37-year-old women to 60-year-old women or something like that. And 37-year-old women that I know are completely screwed up in the head, man. Why would I want to do that? Most of them are. Most of them, not all of them. My son has a saying, I'm just waiting for a less damaged generation to come along, Dad. I said, be careful who you say that to. It sounds a little creepy, you know. So don't tell that to a cop. But people want to feel things. I'm telling you, over half the men and the women, that was one of the top things they listed, was feeling something in the bedroom, feeling passion, feeling loved. It's okay to be loved. Men want to be respected. Women want to be loved. You got to figure that out. If your girl's not respecting you, that's the issue in play. But if you're also not showing her love at the same time, you're not feeding her what she needs. Definitely not. So there's a quote this is me. Instead of spending all your energy trying to find the right woman, become a dominant man. She will seek you out. Phil just talked about it. Fix yourself. You gotta fix yourself first. You spend all your energy chasing tail. Put that energy into fixing you, right? They'll find you. They will seek you out. You know, that's just the way the world works. Cream rises to the top, and you need to be that. You need to rise to the top, and they will come looking for you. You're out on your mission. You're trying to make money. You're trying to build businesses. You're trying to do all these other things. They will find you. Quality women will find you. I guarantee it. I know some guys have been through the ringer, but I guarantee it was a piss poor choice to begin with, and they'll admit it. They saw red flags. They ignored them. Yes, people change. I'm not saying it's every man's to blame. Women's change and things happen and they go all crazy and whatever, right? But at the same time, there's always two pieces to this puzzle. There's always blame on both sides. Be a strong man, and I think you've got a chance at this whole thing. Old school, vetting a woman, 24-month rule. You got to know her 2 years. You're going to find out she's crazy. You're probably not going to figure that out for at least 2 years. Does she have a positive relationship with her dad? Growing up and still, sir?
I said, right on.
Yes. If she doesn't have a positive relationship with her dad, something's wrong there. Is she financially prudent? Does she work? You know, I mean, that's something. And then look closely at her mama. You want to see what your wife's going to look like in 25 years? Go talk to mama. And mama will fool you too at first. It might take you 24 months to figure out mama's nuts too. Trust me on that. But identifying a submissive woman, because I'm not going to ever be happy with any woman that wants to be an equal with me, ever. I don't have friendships with women. Why? If you're having a friendship with a woman, it means you're trying to get in bed with her, probably. That's my opinion of it. I have 100% trust with my wife. She didn't have a relationship with men online or texting or any of that kind of stuff. It just doesn't happen because we respect those boundaries. It's a boundary that I set. It's an expectation that I set. And it's a value that I put down. So a submissive woman is absolutely mandatory, non-negotiable for me. She has to follow my lead. So how do you find one? She follows your lead without hesitation. You want to bounce to a couple of different clubs, and she should be right on it with you, right? You want to make a suggestion, you want to do this, so we're going to go out over here, we're going to do that. She should be, yes sir, let's go, right? That's kind of how it works for me. Not everybody's the same. She loves it when you make the plans. Don't ask her, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Know it. Order dinner for her. Try that sometime, especially when you're first dating. Have one order for you. And if she puts up a big red flag, something might not be right there. The lean in test, when you grab her hand and pull you to you, so she come flying forward with you. Does she come pulling in? When you go to kiss her and you put your hand on her throat gently, does she lean into it? Does she want a little more of that? You're going to figure some things out about her pretty well. A lot of times submissive women will look down when they're talking to you, and it's not that they're intimidated, it's just how they were raised or how they are. Submissive women are not doormats. They're strong, fiercely strong, great mamas, great wives. And they will only submit to one man that they find worthy. That's how I view submissive women. They're not out there submissive, being submissive to every man they run across, their boss or whoever. No, it doesn't work that way. Women are scared to be submissive. I don't want to be labeled submissive. I'm less of a woman. I'm a doormat. They don't get it. But once they taste it, once they understand the freedom that allows them to go be themselves while their man runs the show, they don't have to worry about all this stuff. And women are absolutely just ridden with anxiety in 2021. Miserable. There's so many miserable women out there right now. All the different antidepressant medicines are on skyrocketing. It's rough right now. Submissive women love to serve. They love to do nice things for you. Bring you a drink, bring your dinner to you. We'll have family dinners and my wife won't eat until I take the first bite. It's just people find that odd. Or she'll serve me sometimes and she'll take the glass and she'll kiss the rim of the glass and hand it to me. You do that in public, people freak. They don't have any idea what that's all about. My favorite part is being at family functions like Thanksgiving or whatever, and we're all sitting around watching the Cowboys game or whatever, and there's not enough room and everybody just sits. She'll sit at my feet on the carpet, and then she'll get up and serve me and bring me things and come sit back down again because she wants to. And my brother-in-laws are like, I married the wrong sister. What's going on here? How does this work? So my friend likes to say, I need a ride or die woman. It's not a big term that my generation is real in touch with, but you younger guys probably do. She's going to ride with you or she's going to die trying. And that's who I need in my life. If I'm going to spend my time and energy and my protection over a good woman, I need her to ride or die with me. It's important. I have read this to my wife and she loves it, and it means a lot to us. So I'm going to read it to you. Any girl can submit when things are easy. I need your submission the most when it's the most difficult part of you to give me. That's when it means the most to me. That's when I can see who you really are. And that one touches her. And every now and then, she starts falling off the track or I start falling off the track, one of us might read that quote to the other, at least bring it up, because it goes both ways. When the marriage was tough, I needed her to be the submissive the most, and I didn't make that easy for her. There's always blame. There's always responsibilities for your actions, and everybody has to take those responsibilities for themselves. I was talking with a gentleman here a few minutes ago. He's 58, I'm about to be 60. And we asked ourselves, where's the tribal elders? That slide says, in search of tribal elders. If you'll notice on the app, I put under my profile, tribal elder, because I'm at that stage now. Because there's responsibility there. Think about who the tribal elders were in your church or your hometown when you were growing up. I mean, think about who those men were, those uncles, grandpa, dad, whoever, those elders that set the tone for what was going on. The guys that would sit around the campfire when you were deer hunting at night, drinking Jack Daniels and telling tall tales, but dispensing life advice at the same time. I don't make any money doing this. I have a great job. I'm financially secure. I do this because I know I need to be a tribal elder. I spend a lot of time in Fraternity of Excellence because I don't do mentoring with people for money and all that. I don't have a problem with anybody that does. I ain't got time for it. I'd rather be in a private men's group where I can share some things and help some guys here and there, and they can help me in the process, and I feel like I'm useful at that point. But I challenge you, every man in here at some point in his life will get to this tribal elder stage. It's not just about age. It's about accomplishment. It's about the responsibility to help other men. You have a responsibility. We're in the pickle right now because, I hate to just blame the boomers, but we're in this pickle right now because people stopped helping other people and got very, very selfish about themselves and didn't give a crap about the rest of the world and the other men around them. And we've been attacked in the media. Men have been attacked left and right, and it continues to go on today. And it's not going to stop anytime. We're in the middle of the next hard time. They say hard times lead to strong men. Strong men create good times create weak men. And the cycle goes on, right? And we're in a hard time cycle right now. Don't let yourself get lulled to sleep. Don't believe everything you think. Think about that. Don't believe everything you think, because there's things that you think that were implanted into your head. Question everything along the way. Become an elder. You earn that right. Become it. Getting close to the end here. What are they going to say about you when you're dead? At your funeral. I've already booked Zach Small, by the way, to MC my funeral. And he's agreed to it. I've got in my will to cut him a check to get him down here, pay his airfare and all that, because everybody's going to walk out of my funeral motivated as hell. And we Irish, we love a good funeral. I mean, come on now, it's a good time to get together and drink and have a good time, right? But what are they going to say about you when you're dead? Oh, hey, he worked really hard. No. How about he loved his kids, he loved his wife? How about he helped other men? How about he saw a need and he met it? How about that? You have to secure your legacy. Your legacy is not just your children, although your children are going to be the biggest part of your legacy. Raise kids that people like. Raise kids that can be self-sovereigns, that can be discerning individuals, that can think for themselves, that are not going to get tied into the damn dogma that's being spit down their throats in the school systems. You have to raise your kids better. These are your primary legacies. But who are your other legacies? It's those guys that email you back and say, Tex, man, I tried this thing with my wife and my God, she loved it. And it wasn't sex, it was just him leading. That's part of my legacy. Things I do in FOE are part of my legacy. Coming to this may be the last talk I ever give. My plane might go down on the way back to Houston tomorrow. I recognize that fact, nothing's given. I may never get to speak again to any of you. I want you to hear the one thing that I say. Secure that legacy now while you have time to do it, because the world's going to be a better place if you do. Thank you.